Hello, welcome to Manifestation Monday. How are you? I'm Lady Zelda Kelly, and I'm here to help you with your manifestation journey. Now, we are live. If you're on the replay queue, please put a 2 in the chat. Now, I am going to be taking questions at the end, and I want you, if you've got something you want to talk about, as far as manifestation is concerned, we will do that. I would like to say hello, welcome. It is the beginning of a new week in February. It is February 3rd of 2025. Can you believe we are here? Yes, I can. And this is very good. Now, I know some of you are saying, Zelda, what is going on? This is crime time with True Oracle. Well, I'm here because I think it's a crime that we haven't talked about this before. And I think it's a crime that you're not living the life you deserve. And I think it's a crime that, well, you don't have what you really want. And that's why we're here. So hello, and welcome each and every one of you. I want to say hello to a special person in Miami. You know who you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. So let's get started. Last week we spoke about, and pardon the voice, you know it is weather related, and one day it is 16 degrees and the next day it's 79. Welcome to winter. All right, so the reason we're here is because last week we talked a little bit about my story and so forth, and I will link the description of that so you can catch up in the description in this video. But for right now, we talked a little bit about my personal journey, about what had happened, the do's and don'ts, what got me into the laws of attraction and manifestation. But before we begin, and I apologize, here we go. You know, this happens every live, and I can't help it. So here we go, my darlings. Okay. So here's what happens. Everybody calls this laws of attraction, it's manifestation. And I think, for lack of a better term, that is correct. But quite frankly, what we're discussing is just plain physics. That's it. There's no magic, there's no anything. This is a proven physics law. Now, physics is science based, well, it has a foundation of math. So it's an accurate foundation that we can apply in our own personal lives. It's been around since the creation of this earth, and yet we seem to all manifest things, we do it wrong. And that's why I'm saying the way we're doing it now won't work. I've had a manifestation journey for many years, decades. And I could not understand why things were going the way they were. I was doing everything right. I did all the affirmations. I wore everyone out with everything. And then I found what really was the key, because I was dwelling on what wasn't happening versus what was. And I am just now hearing some long people outside my window in the condo that I'm in. So apologize for the background noise. So when I say here, and I'm talking to you about this isn't working, this isn't going to work, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. If you are wanting to delete some extra pounds and you don't want it to come back, the one thing you have to be careful about is, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and save those jeans that I had 10 years ago. And maybe, just maybe, I'll fit in those someday, but I'll put them over here to the side so they remind me of what's not happening. But maybe if I'm lucky enough, and maybe it'll just happen, right? I know we've all been there. Or you say, You know, I really want a new job. I want a new career because I want to buy a new house. But I don't play the lottery, and that's the only way that I could see this ever happening. Because how else am I going to get the money to play? How else am I going to get the money to have a home? Well, you're defeating the purpose right from the start, and you might as well just scrap it and say goodbye. That's the reality. You may as well just say, sorry, I'm not going to do this anymore. Now, there are some things that I started myself, my own journey, and I wouldn't be here today and teaching you this if it didn't work. The reason that I'm here is because I have to share it. And that's a part, I believe, of your physics manifestation laws of attraction journey. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to share it and say, hey, by the way, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell all of these people that, well, they know me intimately and they know my situation and they think that it's at dire straits and they think that I need to be getting a job and work there 25 years just to get a gold watch and get kicked in the hind end and be told to go on my merry way. And I have just as much that I started out with, which is pretty much virtually nothing. That's not what you do. You hold this in. You know, one of the things that we do to protect our property, our family, and our pets is we build a little fence. We have a little boundary around us. Well, I'm going to invite you, number one, to build that boundary. You do not want to sit here and announce to the world, send out announcements now that you're on this journey so that people can call you on the side and say, oh, wow, you're one of those. You really think this trash is going to work? I tried that 5 years ago and look where I am. Nothing has ever happened. I wish, and thanks to my lawn people out there, right? I wish I had a nickel for every time I had a client who called me and said, this is so hard. Can't you do this for me? I'll pay you. I had a person one time tell me, I'll pay you $9,000. Now, why $9,000? I don't know, but $9,000. And of course, I didn't take it because that's not how it works. This type of thing is not magic. And the one thing that I want to say is this. Since the beginning of when The Secret came out, which I think is wonderful, and I watched it religiously, but since that time, people have in this mindset that if you think it, it's just going to poof and happen, that you don't have to do anything except sit in a chair and will it to happen. Well, how long does that last? It doesn't. And believe me, that is one of the situations that I have said right from the beginning, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So what does work? Well, the fact that, number one, I had to break things down. I had to form that boundary around myself. I had to not talk about it. I had to protect myself and my thought process. That's number one. Number two, I had to focus on what it is that I really want. And again, I apologize. Listen, this guy is right outside my window, and they told me they weren't coming today. We may as well have the best of it. Oh my goodness, he's right outside. I know you can hear me. All right, everybody, do me a favor in the chat. Tell me where you're watching from. Will you do that while we wait on Mr. Lawn Care? And I want to say thank you so much for being here. Hello, Marie. Thank you. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome. So happy to see you. And hi, Janine. Waving hello. Thank you very much. And he's still outside my window. Hello, Kit. And thank you so much for your greeting, for being here. And Red Eye, LAX to Boston. We know who that is. That is the leaf blower. That is a leaf blower. They're all outside. Right outside my window. I thought I missed him today. Oh, well, Mr. Weed Whacker, is that, yes, can you hear? I'm not quitting. Here's the thing, I'm not going to stop. They'll be gone in a minute. See, my cats are sitting in the window. I wish you could see this. My cats are sitting in the window with these big eyes looking, they always do. And these guys will turn around and, play with them. Okay, goodbye then. Goodbye. All right. Oh, Washington, I know where you are. Thank you so much, Red Eye. And Virginia, there you go. Thanks for Virginia. I love Virginia, by the way. I love it. Except it's a Commonwealth like Massachusetts. We all know that. Norwood, right next to Canton. That's right, Marie. Oh, my goodness. And Kit, you are in Wales in the UK. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you, thank you. I think they're almost gone. We can hear them going in the distance there. Goodbye. Goodbye. We're just going to will them to go by. And here's one of the reasons I don't get mad. Because they're doing their job too, right? This is the one thing we have to remember when we're in this journey. They were hired to do this job, not by me, but they were hired to do this job. By doing this, we know they're paying their rent, I hope so, feeding their families, we hope so, and we know that they're doing their job. Now, I'm not going to begrudge them or get mad. I mean, I think it's kind of comical, but we're not going to get mad that they're here. We want them to be able to do their job, and that's it. We want to be able to, we want to be able to have them do what it is that they need to do. And besides, it helps me because that when I walk out, see, they're fading into the sunset. When they walk out, or when I walk out of this condo, then I know that I'm not going to have to worry about all these bushes and everything else rubbing up against my clothes. There we go. So that's it. They're almost done. They're almost done. So we're almost done. And I think, pardon me, you know what? We are live, my darlings. We are live, and this happens. So welcome. So anyway, there's so much going on, and we can continue because I think that they're going, no? Are they coming back? Too bad I didn't have cupcakes. I could go out there and offer them some. No. But anyway, one of the things that I had to learn was that there is power in our words. That's it. I'm going to give you another example because, I teach by example. And I think that's the best way you can do it. So how many times have you been in a situation and somebody will say, oh, I'll pray for you. You've got to give this to God. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a good idea. However, how many times do we give it to God and we take it back in 15 minutes? Example. Yes, I want this thank you so much for taking care of this. I know you're on the job. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And then 15 minutes later, what happens? Oh, hello? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You won't believe what happened. And then you start going through it all over and over and over again to the point where it exhausts you. What has happened? You've tied the hands of God and the universe. Because what you've said is, well, yeah, I want you to take it over, but in theory, I don't trust that. So I'm going to take it back because I know that if I work on it, it's going to work out. And if I talk to someone who has no business in my business, or that they don't know by example or experience what I'm talking about, and they're just listening to me rattle on, Well, that just makes me feel better. Now, we're not in this to just do that to feel better. We are results driven. That's one thing I had to really learn is not continue to share. It's like that person at the checkout line when you're going to shop and all of a sudden the, the checkout person says, "How are you today?" And there's somebody ahead of you and says, "Well, let's see. I had a headache and then I'm here to get this prescription, but I went down to the other store." And you're sitting there going, "Okay." And the reality is, sadly, this is important to them, but you continue. Remember, if you complain, you remain. You can remain in that situation. You can say, "Oh, Zelda, I've done this before." Yeah, and so have I. Yes, I have. So what now? I had to change the way that I talked. I had to psych myself out to the point where it was almost sickening. I had to walk around anywhere that I was and say, "I am the one. I am the one who has this situation that I know is going very well. I am the one who is going to get what I deserve, and that is everything that is positive and wonderful in my life. I am the one that is attracting big loads of money. I am the one attracting a relationship, a car, a home, a position. I am the one. I am the one." And when I'm done saying that, and I still do this, when I'm done saying this, what I say is kind of funny, but "and everyone wants to be me." Well, what does that do? Not really, right? But that puts you up here. That raises your vibration, and that's what it's supposed to be. Now, what's frequency and vibration have to do with this? Consider yourself a magnet. If you are trying to, pardon me, magnetize something to come to you, whatever your heart's desire, but yet that person, situation, or circumstance isn't on the same frequency as you, then it's not going to happen, or it's going to take a lot longer. When you're dialing in on the radio, now I come from the dark ages when we used to have AM, right? Radio. And then we were lucky, a miracle, we had FM radios. Well, even now you can dial in. And when you dial and you hear a certain song that resonates with your frequency, you are on the same frequency. Now, if you say, "But Zelda, I don't know about that. I can't figure that out. How do I put myself on the same frequency as others or situations?" When you dial someone else's number, you are dialing their frequency. Period. Period. That's the number of their frequency. And that's why you have to remember you have this little GPS system within you. You have this little frequency, this little phone, so that you can zone in perfectly right away. And now those guys are in the back. I must have really attracted them. Hello, Virginia. Hello, my darling. Thank you for being here. And hello, dog mom +9. My goodness, I love it. Thank you so much. So we've got all these things that are happening, but it doesn't work if you don't apply it the right way. Just like a recipe. Think of it as a recipe. You have to follow it, especially when you're baking. It's an exact science. It's physics. You have to match up the numbers or the weight and add them in a particular proportion per the recipe, or you're going to get a dud, or you're going to get something that's crazy and awful. That's what has to happen. Now, I've written down a few little things here so I can try to keep on track. First thing, my darling, is you have to assign yourself a code. You have a frequency code within you. You may never know it. So you can say that you're code number 7. And I can guarantee the moment that you assign yourself a frequency, a code, you're going to start seeing that number. I had someone one time as a client assign themselves a code, and it was like 10 letters long. And he started seeing this code in times and all kinds of things. Then you know you're in the right zone. You've got to get in the zone. That's exactly what has to happen. You're not going to do it if you just sit there and say, well, yeah, I really want that, because it doesn't work. You will be given all kinds of opportunity and open doors, and then you can start moving into things. Another example. I have a client, and I think I told you this in the last, but who wanted to change her eye color. Didn't happen overnight, but she took action. She wrote it down. She claimed it. She was affirming. She was doing. She even bought makeup that would enhance blue eyes. She had dark, deep brown eyes. It happened. Now she has blue eyes. Science can't explain it except that it's physics. Her ophthalmologist can't explain it except that it is sheer will. And that's what this is all about. Now, ladies out there, I've had people increase the girls, I'm just going to say that. I've had people delete weight, get taller, lose shoe sizes. Ironically enough, a lady had a size 11 shoe. That's pretty big in the US. But she was also tall. And there has to be a balance, right? There has to be balance. But she wanted to be a size 9.5 or 10. She's now 9.5 or 10. It was not painful. She just believed that it would. But she took action. And that action was writing it down, buying shoes in that correct size, knowing that they would fit, knowing. So it is a part of your knowing and your dedication that makes all of this happen. You have to evaluate exactly what it is that you want, because the next steps that I took was literally writing down. And I know you've probably said, Zelda, I hear this till I'm blue in the face. I don't like to write anything down. I don't like to do this. Well, how much do you want? How much is it worth to you? What is it worth to you to live the life that you desire? I'm just going to tell you a little something. I do this still. And as an experiment, I started this journey about a month ago, 30 days ago, with my Seeing Crime YouTube channel. I started writing down that, you know what, I'm worthy of this. I put in a lot of hours. I put in a lot of videos. I can do all this. And I started writing it down. I started claiming how much I wanted to make because I was monetized. I started claiming this, and I would write it down. But here's the kicker, my darlings. When you write it down, you've got to read it first thing in the morning. I mean, before you grab your phone, before you turn your TV on, before you do anything, you've got to read this. And I wrote it on a piece of paper in letter form, in a notebook. And I keep that letter on top of my phone when I go to bed at night. And if I wake up during the middle of the night, I'll read that letter before I go back to sleep, even if it's to the light of my phone or to a TV or a bathroom light or something, hall light, whatever the case. I read it. When I go to bed, right before I close my eyes to go to sleep, I read it. Within this 30 days, and I just posted today that I now have 900,000 views on my YouTube channel. Now, granted, they're not all from the last 30 days, but if any of you know me and you're all in here, you also know that in the last 30 days, it seems like my channel has just zoomed, and it has just zoomed. And I'm going to continue to do that. But you know what else happened? I am manifesting work-life balance. Another key to this is understanding what you need to do to make this happen. Now, if you're wanting to delete some weight, what you're going to have to do is start thinking about how you want to describe. Do you want to delete your weight without doing anything? Then okay, you can attract that. But if you want a great workout program because you feel fulfilled with working out, or you want to walk, or a certain eating program, that's what you have to claim. And I'll guarantee you will start seeing these doors open. If you're on social media, if you're on TV, if you're just watching, these things will start coming to you. Now, the one thing that you have to discipline yourself is discernment. Just because it's the first thing coming to you doesn't mean that's it. And that goes for relationships, homes, jobs, everything, because it's up to you to do your research, and it's up to you to get the facts. Because I've had people manifest themselves into a complete mess, and they do it the wrong way, and it doesn't work. But here is the number one key. The number one key to doing all of this is spending 17 seconds reading your list, reading what it is that you've written down. How do you do that? I personally say, Dear Father, Dear God, however you want to say whatever you want to. I am so grateful that I now have. And I feel, and you have to think of something more than, I feel so happy. You have to dig a little deeper than that. You have to get into it and say, I feel so fantastically overwhelmed that this has come to me in a very positive way. I am just elated, and I'm walking on cloud 9 that this has happened. Now, when you write this out, you don't want to write 15 pages. You keep it to maybe 3 or 4 sentences, and that's it. But you really must describe, and you really must meditate. Close your eyes and think, how would this make me feel? I feel so terrific that I don't have to watch my bank balance every day to make sure that something doesn't bounce, because this amount of money has come into me. I don't care where it comes from. What I care about is the fact that I have it, and I've been blessed, and I'm so grateful. And now I can take care of this, or now I can get that, give this person some extra money to help them out with. That's what you knew. You spend 17 seconds when you get up in the morning, and when you read this, and then when you go to bed, or any time in between. You have to time it. Anything less, your brain is not going to absorb. Anything more, you're going to get tired. 17 seconds. I put an alarm on my clock. When I write it, boom. I'm sorry, when I read it, start the alarm, or start the timer. You will see results start coming almost immediately. I know you've all heard of algorithms on this channel, on other platforms, on all kinds of different things. Pardon me. Each and every one of us have an algorithm. We all do. We attract. Think about this. How many times have you got a song in your head and all of a sudden you don't know how it got there, but it's going over your head, over your head, over your head. And then the next time you turn the radio on, you're driving down the car or driving down the road in your car, all of a sudden you hear that song come on. And it's not a very popular song. Could be from some time ago, the decades ago or something like that. And then you hear that song. And you're so happy and you're so thrilled because you know every word, you know every note, and you sing it along perfectly. You've attracted that. How many times have you bought a car? Let's just say you buy a car and you're driving down the road and all of a sudden now you start recognizing, oh my gosh, I've never seen this car before. And now all I'm doing, I'm seeing these cars all over the place. You are attracting. How many times have you just got another person in your head and you're thinking, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And before you know it, you either see a picture on social media or they're even reaching out to you. You may not have heard from them in years. You want to know a funny thing? A gentleman, well, I was a young man back in the day when I was in high school, that we were a thing. And I hadn't heard from him in years. And I thought, oh, I'm going to see what this is. I'm going to see what this works. And I test it because I'm going to tell you something. Test it. Believe it and test it. Just test it. So what did I do? I'm going to hear from so-and-so. It's so great to hear from him. I was so excited because we got to reminisce over all these good times. Well, you know what happened? I checked my Instagram account, and lo and behold, there was a message from him. And this is no joke. And people watching, my moderator for one, can attest to it, where it was funny. He wrote out to me and he said, I don't know why I've been thinking so much about you. I found you on here and I just wanted to say hello. Now, I never used Instagram. I never use Facebook. I never use any of those others anymore. And there are reasons, but I just don't, I'm there, but I don't use them. For him to contact me there. So we started talking. Now, that's my fault. Because I was testing it without an valued intention. I didn't intend to be with him. Bad Zelda. I did not intend to meet him. I did not intend to carry it on any further than just saying it hello. He wanted to carry it on further. He wanted more, and I did not. And that turned into something that was it was intense, but I felt bad for him because that's just not my gig, but that's my fault. And I take that responsibility. So you have to get to that point where you can evaluate what it is that you want. If you're trying to dedicate yourself to finding the love of your life, it's going to be easier for you than attracting a specific person. Because there's a fine line between manipulation. What if this other person is in another relationship? What if this person doesn't really feel the same way you do? You can't force them. You can't, because then you cross the line. And I know you're going to see a lot of these, oh yes, blah, blah, blah. You can. We have to be real careful with that. It is better by experience to attract a person that you really want to be in a loving, lifelong relationship with you, that is actually looking for you, actually deserves you, than it is to set your sights on someone who may be in another relationship, may not even be interested, may be in another state. That's going to be not only harder on you, but it's going to be hard on them. So that's my own opinion about that. You can do with that what you like. But what I want you to do is start today. Evaluate what it is that you want and set yourself a code. You can say, I know what my code is, and you dial your code. And I'm going to tell you something funny. I currently rent this condo. It was an Airbnb, and came down here to visit my son in 2020. Well, because of certain circumstances worldwide, I kind of got stuck here. And that's okay. I'm thinking, okay, it's not so bad. I can deal with this. I made a agreement with the owner of this to rent it long term. It worked out perfect. I always contacted him by email, never text, never phone, always that. And it's so we could have a matter of record. I appreciate that. But I set my code. And he emailed me and said, Zelda, I think it's probably a good thing that you have my phone number now that you are a longtime renter, just in case you need me, because he's a pilot and he's all over the place. Well, just in case you need me. He sends me his phone number, and the last 4 digits of his phone number are the same as my code. And when I looked at that, I thought, okay, I'm supposed to be here. That's when you get that confirmation, I'm supposed to be here for right now. And that's why you have to realize and understand that all of our circumstances are temporary. Sometimes when people say, oh, I found my Mr. Right. Well, is it Mr. Right or Mr. Right now? Just remember, I love this man. I love this woman. They are my soulmate. They are my twin flame. Now, that's a famous saying that a lot of people have. And I hate to be snarky about it, but I always say, well, do they feel that way? And this is Petey coming in to say hello. This is Paranormal Petey. He is attracting me because he wants to attract food in his bowl. So you have to determine what it is that you're up to. And thank you, Petey, for walking through. We got the blessing of the kitty. So we have to determine where we are, what we're going to do. Because sometimes with a lot of people, it becomes a matter of winning. As in, well, I know this other person is in this other relationship, but I want him. And I'll do what it takes to get him. And I'll do what it takes to be with him or her. And I don't care what happens. I'm going to be with them. Now, it's no intention, but you also have to remember, and thank you, Petey, you also have to remember that at this point, you have to decide, is there another person in your manifesting that could get hurt? Maybe even physically, emotionally, mentally. You have to be so careful of all of this. That's why you have to think about things, because I'm going to tell you, I'm here to say that not only can you attract the great, you can attract the not so great. And many of you here watching today understand that that has happened, and you might be in that right now. I've been in those messes, and it is not fun at all. The problem is when you're in that, how do you get out of it? Because it is so hard to navigate through those times. Another example, I have a client a few years ago that would call me and say, Zelda, now I met this woman a long time ago, years ago, decades ago, and she would say, Zelda, do you see, maybe am I going to jail? Now, sometimes these things just come out of the blue. Yes, and this is PD, Pink Nose. Since he wants to be on camera, we're going to allow him to do that. And so I would say, where did that come from? That's out of left field. No, I just have this feeling. I just know it. Well, what makes you know it? Well, I've dreamed about it. See, that's another thing. When you start dreaming about these things, it doesn't really mean that it is prophetic or that it's going to happen. Sometimes it means that you just ate a bad pickle before you went to bed. Sometimes it means that you're dwelling on it so much that your mind cannot peacefully shut down so you can have a good night's sleep. Or it can mean that you're watching not so good things on TV before you go to bed. But she was convinced. And every time there for a while, she was calling me daily. Are you sure, Zelda? I trust you. And I would say, I don't see it. You better watch what you wish for. You're going to get it. No, I just know you're wrong. And she would get mad at me. And I told her, you're attracting this. You better be careful. So then there came a time I didn't hear from her. And she called me about 6 months later. And she said, oh my God, I cannot believe this. You lied to me. And I said, what do you mean I lied? I lied to you. And she said, I went to jail. I said, but you weren't supposed to go to jail. Did you go to jail because you wanted to? Well, no. I said, well, what happened? Well, I was in one of these stores. I picked up a box of hair color, and I was on the phone and wasn't paying attention. And instead of my basket, I put the hair color in my handbag and I walked out with it. The alarms went off. The police were called. And I said, well, what happened then? Well, I told them they were wrong. I said, but they weren't. You had your hair color in your handbag, an $8 box of hair color in your handbag. And I said, what happened? Well, I told them off and I told them that I wasn't going anywhere. And I said, so you resisted arrest on top of stealing hair color? Now, I'm kind of giggling because she was a tough cookie. And she said, yeah, I got charged with resisting arrest. I got 6 months, but they let me out in something like 4.5 or 5 for good behavior. But I just wanted to tell you you're wrong, because this whole time I knew that I was going to go. Now, say what you will, but she was pretty much determined that she was going to go to jail because she was focused and fixated on it. Think of the strength that it takes for that to happen. So the invitation I'm going to give you today is this. Aside from don't doing that, how strong can you be in believing that you can have what it is that you want and that you deserve? Sometimes we have to wait on another person in order for circumstances to heal. What you want to do is, if you want to change a situation, then you have to start changing it within. That's the laws of manifestation, law of frequency, law of vibration. You see, the higher the frequency, the more solid it gets. This bottle of water that I'm drinking out of is vibrating on a certain frequency. The phone that you are holding, or that iPad that you're watching on, or the TV that you're watching on has a certain frequency. The table, the chairs, the microphone, my hat, glasses. You've got to raise yourself to a particular circumstantial frequency so you can change things. Yeah, but Zelda, I've tried to change things. Well, how do you try to change them? Well, I tell this person, and I've given this person an ultimatum. Sorry, that's not going to work. No one wants ultimatums, and they're not going to look at you and say, oh my goodness, okay. They're going to be put on the defensive, and that's it. They're going to be put on the defensive. And then what? So what you want to do is basically have a change of attitude. Do you like what's happening in your life right now? If the answer is no, well, you better get that attitude adjustment happening, because that's what it's going to take. Building that perimeter around you that you don't let any negative come in. How many times do you think that happens in a day? And you just have to set yourself in another place. Because I'm going to tell you what, when you change, circumstances, situations, people, things have no choice. Did you hear that right? For the people in the back, those things have no choice but to change. Now, here's the rub. Changing does not mean they're going to change in your favor. Changing means that you're going to, you, my darlings, are going to change your persona to the point that this situation, circumstance, people, whatever you want to say, is going to be pretty much frequency put on notice. They're going to know, I say they because it's the whole conglomerate of things. They're going to know, they're going to find out that they can either mess with you or they can't. And what happens when something nobody can cause you duress? Well, they go away. It stops. That's it. Now, it's not going to happen that way overnight. You've got to stand your ground. And when I say stand your ground, I'm not talking about mean and telling somebody off. I'm talking about setting yourself aside to the point where if you've got to walk away, hang up, change your residence, change your life because it protects you, that's what it's all about. That's how you protect yourself. That's how you start attracting. You are a magnet. You have this little GPS thing on the inside of you. And unfortunately, we have all been programmed from almost the beginning of our lives that no came out more than yes, or stop it came out more than please do it. Because we get conditioned, and you're going to have to fight the conditions that you've been living under. It's hard. It takes more than a day. And it's hard because I have many that will call me and say, well, my husband did this, or my boyfriend did that, or my girlfriend did this, or my girlfriend did that, or my job, or my employee. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened? Well, I told them off. And then I went back to work the next day, and it made it even worse. And I didn't want to go. And then I started calling out. And then I started losing my income. You see where that goes? What has to happen is this. another drink, by the way. Cheers. What has to happen is this. There's a little bundle of nerves in our skull, right down here, right below our skull bone at the top of the spine. It's a little nest that is called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. And I have a kitty over here scratching on a little scratch post if you hear him. Little Petey Pink Nose. So that reticular activating system is your GPS. That's your internal GPS. Where the mind goes, the body flows. So the next time you're in some type of little situation and you start thinking, and then you got some stinking thinking, and you don't understand what's going on, this activates. And it starts trying to convince you that your thoughts are the facts. Oh, I just know that's going to happen. You do? How? How? Well, I'm thinking of it. So my thought came, and so my thoughts, you can trust your thoughts that much because, wow, sometimes your thoughts, and mine too, gets us into things we certainly can't get out of. So you're going to trust your thought process that this just poofed into your head? Our thoughts are triggered by things that we see on television, things that we see in our lives, conversations. Immediately, what happens? We go down the rabbit hole. We start thinking, oh my gosh, this has happened. And then you start thinking, well, if I do this, then they're going to do this. But if I think this way, then this will happen and that this will happen. But if they don't think this way, then maybe I need to step in and maybe I need to try this. And before you know it, you are completely worn out by having a conversation with a thought process that you don't even know is true. That's why you got to get a grip on this. That's why you have to look at yourself the moment that you start all that and say, now, wait a minute here, before we get all boomed up. What really is causing this? What really is happening? And you're going to start figuring out that your thought process are not the facts. Our minds have a way of kind of tricking us. And before I take your questions, I'm going to say this. The universal laws of attraction do not have the ability to think for you. What you think and what you act out is what you get, because there are really no verbs when communicating with the laws of attraction. So when you say, I am so miserable because of this and this and this, the universe hears, oh, you're miserable? You want more? Okay, I'll give you more. Uh-oh. And then it seems like it just keeps going on. So remember, today, immediately, start writing down what it is. Don't write more than 3 things that you want, because you can always add. And believe me, during this process, things will start changing. As you evolve, it'll start changing. So 3 separate things, no more than 3 sentences. This is what I want to accomplish. I have this. I want my hair to be long. I want my hair to not be gray. I want to change this. I want to attract this amount. But do it so, my darlings, that you can conceive it. Because if you walk around and say, I'm going to be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire. Well, that's possible. But how long is that going to take? And if it doesn't happen in a short period of time, you're going to get discouraged and disgusted. So just make sure, I want to delete 100 pounds in a month. Is it possible? Yes. Could it cause you to be sick? Probably. So you've got to be realistic in what it is that you want. So read it morning and night and every time in between, and read it for 17 seconds. I am the one. I am the one that deserves this. I am the one that's going to be doing this. I am the one. I am the one. And you watch and see what's going to happen. But make sure that when you start stinking thinking, or when you're going to try to take your thought process as gospel, that you look at yourself and you cut it off immediately. You have to say, no, wait a minute. And you have to back up, and you're going to have to listen, this takes work. It's not magic. And if you tell me, well, I've never done it because it never works. Well, yes, it did. You just did it. Because you're claiming that it doesn't work, so it doesn't. Henry Ford had a wonderful quote: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I'm going to say it again. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. How do you think people accomplish great things in their lives? Because they don't pay attention to the peanut section and the popcorn group over here that keeps coming in and saying, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. You have to tune all that out. That's what it's about. Tune out the fuzzy noise. You are your receiver, your radio. When you dial in, you certainly don't listen to static. What do? You turn it off. You turn off the static. You turn off the crazy. And last but not least, when you are attracting things, and we're going to talk about all these things, we're going to get into it, because I'm certainly going to hear what all of you have and what all of you have to say and your results, because you're going to start getting them if you start today. Because if you start today, what you do today will set precedence for what happens to you next week, next month, maybe even next year. You have to be careful. You have to do, you have to take control. Sometimes we're just out of control because we are so led. Okay, I've got to tell you one more thing. Here we go. I'm going to tell you one more thing. I have people that cannot delete their weight, no matter what they do. And then with a little investigation, we find out, you know what they're watching on TV? The 1,000-pound twin sisters, or You Are What You Eat, or this about I weigh 400,000 pounds and I can't delete this. You know, these shows they have on about these poor people that are struggling, but they are exploited because they're famous because of their situation. So she didn't realize that she wasn't losing weight because every time that she was watching these shows, it triggered her. And what happens when she was triggered? She couldn't sit there without eating because these people were eating. So she would starve herself all day. And when these shows would come on, she would sit there and trigger. I have another client that has a YouTube channel. She asked me not to say who she is, and I'm going to respect that. But funny enough, she named her channel The Poor Life to start out with. So she contacts me and she says, how am I going to even navigate through this? I don't have any subscribers. I'm not attracting. The recipes that I'm showing on my channel are brilliant. They're delicious. My home is beautiful. And why am I not getting ahead? Investigation shows the name of her channel was The Poor Life. It was keeping her poor. Because when you look at that Who wants to live the poor life? I mean, she had a very interesting channel, but it was this mindset. It was what she was projecting. She's changed the name, and brilliantly within 2 weeks, she's really up there and she's taken off. And sometimes it's just really what it is that you claim for yourself. And I know you want to stay humble. Think about it. Um, you watch these, uh, feed a family of 5 for a week on $5. Now, come on, is that realistic? Or 25 meals for $2.50. I went out. Here's my grocery haul. I fed, my family of 5, and here's my grocery haul. And wow, and they're buying all pasta. They're buying a lot of cheap foods. And so it's triggering people and they're gaining weight. So when you see this, if you want to delete your weight, you got to get off these channels, because garbage in equals garbage out. And I think I have really told you a lot today, and I certainly don't want to overload your donkey, right? That's a little expression. I don't want to give you too much, but I'm always excited to be here and tell you. Next week, we're going to talk more about writing your letter. We're going to talk more about things. But what I want to hear from you, my darlings, is when you leave here today, what is it that you really want, and where are you in your journey? We're going to talk about all of that. I don't know if you have any questions or not. I'm here. I'll be glad to answer a question if you want to ask me something about manifesting. But this really is a journey. It is a discipline, my darling. It's a discipline. You are now embarking into another life. This is a lifestyle. It's not a game. It's not something that you can just kick the tires and try out. It is something that is going to change your life. It changed mine. I'm the first one to tell you. It changed mine. And I can see myself going in directions I just never thought I would ever go. Seriously. If you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be in a position where I am on these, and believe me, I'm on my way up. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm getting there. But if you would have told me, as of today, I just posted that my channel has 900,000 views. Not only am I getting what I'm getting beyond. And that's why you have to think about what it is that you want, because you have to think beyond. You have to widen the scope of what it is that you want to accomplish, because if you keep a lid on it, you're going to get this far. And I'm also saying, don't make it so big that you can't conceive it. Finding that happy medium is where you want to be. I'm going to be here to show you when I move into my house. I'm going to show you all kinds of different things. We're going to move through this together. But I can also tell you, if I did not do this, if I did not follow this little lifestyle, it's not a regimen. It's not something that you have to make it so simple that it's going to be the same as when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you go have a cup of coffee, or vice versa, and you do whatever it is. This has to become part of your life and your routine. You have to be careful about what it is that you say. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. You can't say, I'm I'm attracting what it is that I want in my life. I have this beautiful person that I'm with, my mate, and dang, that person is really cute. Do you think that he would go out? No, no, no. You have to keep focused, focused. That's the most important thing. You have to focus. Yeah, sure. Do I get mad sometimes? Oh, absolutely. But when I get thrown off, I get right back on. You have to, because at that point you recognize, you seriously, Marie, my darling, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are, because I'm going to tell you, if I would never have applied this, I would be broke, homeless. I would be in a place where probably I would be unrecognizable. And we know people like that right now. I know people I can tell them all about the law of attraction every day, but it won't sink in because they can't conceive it. If you're here, you can conceive it. If you can conceive it, then you can believe it. And then guess what? You can achieve it. Conceiving, believing is achieving. Remember. So for those of you in there, my Katharine Hepburn, oh, you better write this down so you don't forget, right? If you can conceive it and believe it, you will achieve it. That's how it works. Sure, you can do this without doing the little scripting thing, but that keeps you on track. That keeps you responsible, and it keeps you focused on what it is that you're doing daily. And I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of fun. If you were to see my vision board, you would just giggle. Seriously. And we're going to talk about vision boards and why they don't work, but then what makes them work. And Pinterest became my friend. It's taking it that extra mile. Taking it the extra mile. Thank you very much, kid. I'll be rewatching this to reinforce the message in my brain. Thank you. Thank you. Because I believe that you're here because you're ready to go to the next step. And I wouldn't care if anybody wasn't here, because this message needs to get out. But I really, really care that you all are here, because you'll make a difference. And I'm going to tell you, be prepared. I'm going to just be prepared, because when you start this journey and things start coming to you, people are going to look at you like you're either crazy or you're doing something illegal, or both. When I did this, and a few years ago, I've been practicing this for a long time, but a few years ago, when I would start moving into these houses and driving these cars and, all this, and just as a little word of caution, you don't borrow yourself rich. You don't do that sort of thing. You need to know that you can maintain what you attract, right? It's all a part of it. I had family members during holidays. It would just crack me up. I would laugh like crazy. Who would look at me and say, "What is it you do? We can't figure it out. You have this house." And at that time, this house was just jaw-dropping, that I got for a song. And that's what will start happening, is a circumstance. A situation will present itself to you, and you can grab it or you can wait, because you're going to get there. It doesn't matter what path you go on, right, my darlings? Because you're going to get to that end result. You just have to choose how you're going to get it and where you're going to go. So I had this jaw-dropping, gorgeous house. It was kind of an estate. It wasn't that big, but it was big. And my family would just come up. And my grandmother went in my house and got lost. And we heard her. She went to go to the bathroom, and we heard her yelling, Zelda, come get me. And I mean, we were all cracking up and laughing. But it was wonderful. And through my own fault, I messed up and trusted someone that I shouldn't have. And it all went goodbye. And you've got to be so strong that you don't allow someone to come in, listen up, because you think they're so wonderful that you hand over every bit of emotional being that you have to this other person so that they dictate how you feel, what you do, how you act, how you dress, what you wear, how much money you spend, and especially how much money you spend on them. And that was kind of what happened. But I was bonkers, I'm just going to say. But I'm just going to tell you this. This house that I am manifesting, when you guys see it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. I love this. I'm going to tell you, I love it. Because the possibilities for you, my darling, are you ready? Are endless. Endless. Once you start your manifestation journey and you go through, you're going to see that some of your things are going to change. Because when you start experiencing what you've attracted, you may say, you know what, I like this, but wow, this may be better. So nothing is slated in stone, and it is all changeable. And believe me, it is all achievable. And I'm not talking about craziness. I'm not talking about this is woo-woo, this is magic. Just remember, tell yourself, this is physics. Physics. Think of you on the ARCA crew, where you know the crash daddies. If you know, you know. Think of yourself as that part. Okay, so one more thing I'm going to tell you. Can't stop, won't stop, right? I ain't got no quit. So, my darlings, here's the one thing I want to tell you. When I started out, I seriously was in such a mess that I had to convince myself that I deserved things, that just because other people thought I was something that I wasn't didn't mean that it was true. So I did this little meditation thing, and to this day, I still do it. Sometimes before I go to sleep at night or when I wake up, I have a board meeting. Now, the board meeting is my own. I'm the chairman of the board, and I have selected people for my board. Let's see, at that time, I think Chuck Norris was on my board of directors. Jesus was on my board of directors. Arnold Schwarzenegger was on my board of directors. I don't know why all these people were on there, but I had all these, and then people that I knew personally and everything else. And we would have this board meeting, and I would sit there and say, okay, now Chuck, I want you to reinforce this and this and this for me. And Arnold, I want you to do this and this and this. And we would have this board meeting. And by the time, and this is all meditation, by the time I was done, I would leave my board meeting thinking, holy mackerel, I've got this whole group of this energy working on my behalf. And that's what you have to do to reinforce yourself. Do it. Do it. Of course, Jesus keeps you on the street not on the street, on the straight and narrow. But because you can't do this for not good purposes. I've had some people call me and say, you know what? My ex is being a really stinker, and he's not doing this and he's not doing that, and I can't stand him. I want to see him fail, and he's with this woman that he left me with, and so I'm going to use this laws of attraction and I'm going to ruin him. Oh, be careful. This is not for that kind of thing. And there's that old saying, what comes around goes around. It always comes home to roost. So you can't use it for that kind of thing, because you'll be the one in troubles. Just know that we all have had issues. We've all had friends, family members, people that we trusted that turned on us, so we think. And what you have to do, my darlings, is you have to anchor that. At some point, make a decision to anchor that where it is, and that belongs in the past, because it already happened. It is history. And the reason it keeps coming on is because, my darlings, you take history and you make it the present. And when you make it your present, it kicks over into the future. So you can depend on waking up tomorrow thinking the same thing about what happened in the past. And you better be careful, because that is debilitating. That is depressing, and that is debilitating. So you see, there's so many things. This is a lifestyle. You have to love yourself. Seriously. You have to love yourself enough. So the last thing I promise that I'm going to say is this. You have to convince yourself, pardon me, that you are worth this. You have to convince yourself that if you were your friend, what would you say? If you were in a mess, or your friend was in a mess, let me put it this way. If your friend was in a mess, hello, everybody coming in. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. If your friend was in a mess and they came to you and said, oh my heck, I am in such a mess. I don't know what to do. I need food. I need to pay my electric bill. But gee whiz, I just went out and spent $150 to get my nails done, but I just don't know what I'm going to do. What would you do? You would look at them out of love and say, well, first of all, you got to cut the nail thing out so you can pay your bills and feed your family. That's number one. And number two, I love you enough to help you through this. And you would stick by your friend. So today, I want you to do this. I want you to become your best friend. So instead of taking the rhetoric that you may be facing with situations or people or circumstance and start believing that this is your lot in life and you just don't know why it's happening, I want you to console yourself and say, you know what? I love you. You're going to get through this. And in the end, you're going to see how this is really going to end up for you. And you're going to come out of this. And in the end, that person, this circumstance, this situation is going to come and work on your favor. You're changing your entire mindset, my darlings. You certainly are. And that's exactly what you have to do. You have to change your entire mindset. It's tough. It's extremely tough. And I mean, you're going to have to go on, I like to call it situation rehab. You're going to have to rehab yourself, because sometimes there ain't nobody coming. And that sounds horrible, but it's true. So people that we love, we can depend on, but maybe only to a certain degree. Family, friends. I'm not saying everybody's like that, and I'm not saying that get on to everybody, but what I'm saying is you better take care of yourself. And I got to tell you this, it is biblical to take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of everyone else. Because if you're down and low, how are you going to take care of everyone else if you don't take care of yourself? You want a good example of that? If you are on an airplane and all of a sudden the oxygen masks fall down, what do the flight attendants tell you to do? Put your mask on first and then assist others. So you have to think about where your oxygen mask is. Maybe that's why today you're so drained. Have you thought about that? Maybe it's that fear, because a lot of things we do is fear-based. Maybe it's that fear that I better help this person first because, well, they may not love me anymore, or they may not be in a position where they like me, and they may see me put my mask on first, and they may think that I'm selfish, so I have to do it. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You take care of yourself first, and all of these situations will come together. Watch your words. Watch your words. Hi there, my darlings. Watch your words. Watch what you say. And say what you'll do and then do it. Do what you say. Say what you do what you say. Thank you so much, Jerry. I got going today and I didn't even invite anybody to say that. Thank you. Please subscribe if you're watching this. Hit the thumbs up because when we get to 4,000 subscribers, we're going to have a little getaway. Getaway? Yes, a getaway and a giveaway because I think all of you are going to really love this one. And I've got to share something with you. Thank you, Jerry, my darling. I really appreciate you being here and reminding me. I'm going to tell you what else is exciting. You see that little QR code right there below you. You can order a video reading with me where you actually see me laying out the cards. But as of today, really, really exciting news. You can order a video with me. I will record it just like I'm here talking to you, and I will have a camera on the cards. You've seen me do that before. And I will have a camera on the cards, and you can see me laying out the cards, and you can see me talking here. And you can order that by this right here, this QR. I'm going to leave that up for a couple of minutes. But I want to thank you so much for being here. Listen, I get so passionate, and I love this so much because I know everything that I'm talking about will help you. Everything you can accomplish what you want. Let me check my notes. I want to make sure that I covered everything. I covered more than everything that we had going on today. And you know what? Those little leaf blower guys didn't mess up a thing, did they? All right, so here we go. The last thing I want you to think about today is connecting with the outcome. You've got to connect with that feeling of that jaw-dropping house, that magnificent car. And you know, sometimes we need something as in an interim, right? And it's okay to do that because it's part of the attraction. Okay, I want $300 or I need $100 to get me through. And before you know it, but I'm going to give you something really easy to start with. Are you ready? Are you ready? I love this. I need this realignment. There you go, Amy. Sometimes we just need these little alignments. Let me put this QR code back up here. Sometimes we just need that. But I'm going to give you something easy to manifest. And this is your little assignment until next Monday when we come back here and talk. And that is, I want you to manifest a cup of coffee from someone. That's not hard. When you wake up, you say, well, somebody's going to buy me a cup of coffee. Somebody's going to get me a latte. Somebody's going to get me an iced coffee. Somebody's going to get me something. Somebody's going to get me something. You know, the one time that I did that, I really did. See, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I drink butter coffee. Yeah, I know, in the morning, but that's about it. So, funny story that I had to do some errands and I wanted to go through, and I went through McDonald's. I know, I didn't eat anything, but I wanted to get something to drink. I made an order for something to drink. And when I get up to the window, the lady says, the lady in front of you bought you an iced coffee. Do you want that, or do you want to trade it for something else? Now, I just sat there. Sometimes I just sit there like, and it's very hard to render me speechless. So you know what I did immediately? I bought the person behind me their meal. And you know what happened after that? Because the lady, you know, you go through these 2 and 3 windows. That person bought the person behind them something. That's how it starts. It's a pay it forward. So that's why when we started this today, that I said, you're going to be in service to others. When you're doing this, you're going to be doing little things. I've been known to be in a restaurant and seeing a family with a bunch of kids, and you can tell they're sitting there going, okay, now you can get this and this and this off the menu. Well, mommy, I want this. No, we can't do that right now, honey. We've got something to, you know, you got to do this and this and this. And you know what? I'll do this to the waitress and say, you need to go, just tell them that they won XYZ from the rest. Don't tell them it's from me. Tell them that they won something and give it to them, or that they've got a manager special, or that the manager is going to give them $50 off their bill. Because, you know, when you got kids and you're going out to eat, oh my goodness, you can't even go through a drive-through now. I was looking the other day when I went through to get a drink. I always get a drink when I'm driving. Not when I'm driving. No, I don't drink at all, but you know what I mean. I always get something like a iced coffee or something. And you look at these menus and a combo, a sandwich, and a measly little fry and a drink, 15, 16, 17 bucks. And you start upsizing and hello, you've got $40, $50 worth of fast food. Ooh, yikes. We don't do fast. So there are things that you think about, common sense things, but the first thing is we have to get rid of the stinking thinking, and we're going to be okay. And I'm excited for each and every one of you to start sharing with the rest of us. So your little assignment now is to manifest a coffee. And you don't have to wait for somebody to buy you one. You can actually buy someone else a coffee. Because you know what? What comes around goes around. If you give, you receive. So you can buy somebody a coffee and you watch and see what happens. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Watch. Just watch and see. Now, card readings. We also have the card reading guides. I wrote a Cartomancy, a tarot guide. You can learn to read cards. And if you get it today, you can read cards by tonight. They're written by me. All the links are in them. I talk about all these things. but I'm adding a few things. I'm actually working on the only law of attraction that works. When that's done, I'll let you know. And that is something that is a workbook, and you can work through it because you will be manifesting miracles for yourself and for others. And then I'm working on a Kipper, the Kipper deck. I'm working on a Kipper guide. So it's going to take me a little bit because I want it to be perfect for you. But I'll be announcing those things. I'll be announcing them. So, my darlings, this is a journey. Get ready. And I want to thank you so much. Don't forget, please subscribe so we can have another giveaway. And today I'm broadcasting on this channel only. It is Crime Time with True Oracle. It is True Oracle and a true miracle for sure. Because listen, this is no crime. This is no crime. It is a crime that we haven't talked about this before. And you're quite welcome. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I love you. And thanks for being here. And go get your coffee. Go manifest your coffee. You manifest something so we can talk about it next week. And next week, it's going to really start getting exciting. So yes, buckle up because here we go. I'll see you again soon, everyone. Much love to you. And thank you for being here. Love you guys. Love you guys too. Look at this. Love you. Love you back, Amy. Thank you so, my darling. Y'all take care. And I'll see you again soon. Happy manifesting.